Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How is it going? Welcome to another episode of what we call Entrepreneur's Life. And we have another fascinating entrepreneur today with us, Marc Roth. Say hi, Marc.
Hi, Mark.
Perfect German humor. Great to have you on. um, I really like this guy. We just met recently, actually. I think we've been touching social media for longer, but we just met recently at actually Europe's number one mastermind that Patrick Wind has set up, and he's part of an inner circle that I was happy to visit as well. And I think we really connected about a couple of topics. So maybe Marc, you want to tell our audience a little bit about what you have done over the last couple of years. We might
Yeah.
also speak about fatherhood and entrepreneurship, but mostly we'll speak about the dark art of psychology and marketing. What do you say?
Right. Yeah. Thanks for having me. Sure. So basically, over the past 8 years, and that's how long I've been in the online space. I started with a brand called Dr. Conversion, which was basically just a copy of Digital Marketer Lab, a cheap copy of Digital Marketer Lab, right? And yeah, so basically, I've been in the online marketing space doing performance marketing, growth marketing for coaches, trainers, consultants, and B2B suppliers. Full funnel and full platform, meaning we cover all platforms in the performance marketing area, and we basically develop all types of funnels, not just limited to one type of funnel, but it's just everything that needs your growth, that is needed for your growth.
Definitely something that a lot of entrepreneurs might be interested in. So that's cool. And you've done that for 8 years or so?
Yeah, and right now, so my brand has developed in a way that I'm now kind of selecting the clients that I'm working with, and I am running ads for some of the biggest profiles here in Germany. So I'm, let's say, the marketing dude behind those brands, and just that's a position I'm really happy and humble and glad to be in, because that's just a lot of volumes that you trade and a lot of impact that you can have.
That's very interesting. I'm very impact focused, right? And a lot of people mean different things when they speak about impact. But I think
Yeah.
it's a perfect lead also to the main thing I want to talk about with you today, which is the psychological aspect. Because you mentioned
Yeah.
you're working with some of the biggest entrepreneurs and personal brands in the German market. So doing that, I assume you work a lot with your psychological knowledge and use that to, well, give proper awareness to these
Yeah.
public figures, right? And you might work with some dark or not so dark art as well to make those people more successful. So do you have like a main concept that you work with, and how would you approach an entrepreneur who wants to work with,
Yeah.
well, your background and your secrets? How do you start there?
Absolutely. So I'll take you on a very small journey. Okay. So I've been doing performance marketing for so long, and I was always looking for the next hack, right? So is it like cost cap bidding? Is it like bidding strategies? Is it creatives? Is it what is it, right? And the more I got into that rabbit hole, the more I understood you got to step back and have that more holistic view on who are you actually targeting. And I'm not just talking about ideal client profiles, but I'm talking about like human psychology. Okay. And that's when I came across that topic here. It's called the limbic map. Okay. So there are a few authors who really push that topic into the markets, and the limbic map gives you a perfect understanding of how we act and why. And that's a concept that I am implementing in every performance marketing activity: landing page copy, landing page design, brand design. And it helps me a lot to really have that next level of results.
Okay, limbic map.
Limbic map. That's
I
it.
have no idea what you're talking about. Maybe it's just me, but maybe that also applies to some of our listeners
Yeah.
or viewers here. So what is a limbic map?
Yeah, so the limbic map is a concept that kind of defines and also separates countries, genders, and age by their primary and secondary drivers of action, let's say. Okay, so let's say, especially in the German market, you have a brand with Andreas Baulig, who is like also a consultant who helps coaches, trainers, consultants make money, right? And he's really, and what they do here, they separate these profiles into colors, more or less. So you got the red color, blue, green, and yellow. And so what he does in his branding is very consistent in talking to just one segment of that market, being the red one. And the red one is defined by people who identify with power, with money, with, being like that kind of guy. So all his marketing is from a color point of view, dark, golden colors, clean. Whereas you would go into the more, let's say, spiritual area, you would absolutely have a huge mismatch. You would rather use green colors, light colors, right, to also identify with that website visitor.
Sorry, can I interrupt you for a second? When you say color, obviously you're not speaking about the colors that you use in your communication. Each color stands for a psychological profile of an avatar, if you wish.
Absolutely, yeah, that's it. Yeah, and there are there's a lot of data showing which country and which age and which gender has which percentage of color within them. So let's say, for just to give an example, the reddish colors is, when you talk about males, 34% are red, whereas only 6% of females are red. Okay, so meaning if you have a mass market product and you're targeting females only with a red communication or a red message, you would only reach 6% of the overall market, right? So which doesn't make any sense. And there are so many ads out there that failed massively because they did not understand the color schemes of each segment in the market.
Very interesting. Okay, so say you are an entrepreneur, right? Yeah. Or an entrepreneur listening to this right now. Right. How do they get started with a limbic map so they improve all of their communication, really, so they can be sure that they are communicating the right way with their actual target audience?
So the book that I have here is probably too deep to start with, but another book that I would recommend from the same author is called Surrounded by Idiots. And it sounds funny, but it's content-wise, it is a great way to start, because all of a sudden you will understand how your peers act and why, and you can actually manipulate them in a way.
So we are talking about the dark science here. See, you watching this? Do you see how dark everything is around Marc? No, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to position you this way, but it is very interesting because I usually don't have an idea about what the people around me think and why they behave the way they behave. And I mean, I actually like the title of the book.
Yeah, I mean, so you should always, right, with great power comes great responsibility. A wise guy named Spider-Man used to say this, and it's really just that, right? I'm an authentic entrepreneur, an authentic marketer, so I wouldn't use the techniques to manipulate people. It's more of a be more specific in who you want to attract by the design of your messaging, your communication, your color scheme, your world, basically.
Okay, let's take an example, and because I don't have any other here right now, and also because I think it's very interesting, maybe also for a listener. So let's say you would want to start a podcast on entrepreneurship, all right? And your target audience are entrepreneurs, it's in English, and it could be called Entrepreneur's Life, like this one here. It could have amazing guests like Marc Roth, right? And so what do I do now?
Yeah, so the first step would be, you as an entrepreneur, you're not walking around with a suit 24/7, right? So you're not walking around and with the bling bling all of the time and stuff like that. So you would probably, with your personal brand, you would not attract those red color type of guy, the Dubai guys driving in the Lamborghinis 24/7. So that's probably not the guy would attract. And what you can do is, that's usually how we start, is we do a simple survey with our existing audiences in terms of their major drivers. And that's something that e-com shops do with their existing customer base, saying, okay, let's say, what do you expect from entrepreneur's life? And then I'll give you an example on the different color schemes as a potential answer. You say, answer number one is, I want to make money. So you would be red. Answer number two is, I want a step-by-step plan on how to win customers. That would be blue, because blue tends to be people who are very logical and very systematic in what they do. Okay. Then the green one would be something like, I want to be inspired by the stories of others. Okay, so that would be a really green positioning. And the yellow one would be, it's more about creativity. I'm looking for creative new ways to get new clients. So and that's kind of the limbic map in its colors defined. And so the more people click on yellow, the more you know that you should create your messaging around these people, around that insight.
Very interesting. Okay. All right. I'll definitely get the Idiot's book. That sounds pretty cool. Okay. All right. So once you've understood that, so I consider myself an artist and a creative, but I also need processes and understand like which steps to take, right? And maybe that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs, at least the ones that are watching this here, are interested in as well, right? So I understood kind of like the first step of the process here. So then I would understand like what color in this case, what type of entrepreneur, what type of character enjoys this show.
Yes.
So maybe I want to double down on that
Yes.
and produce specifically for these people who seem to connect with me as a person, the guests that we bring on, and so forth. So what's the next steps then? Then I try to understand the content. I produce more of that. How do I package that into ads? What does it have to do with products? We don't sell any products here, but what's the next steps?
So usually what we do is like we call it, we create like an offer angle mind map, more or less, right? So the offer or the transformation that you provide will usually always be the same, right? So you take people from A to B, but it's how you package that offer, and that offer comes with a title. That offer comes with a messaging, comes with an ad copy, and it's surprising. Each and every color has different, let's say, trigger words or words that you tend to use, so that you identify more with the communication. Okay, so and that's something you would just map out. So you would start with the understanding of your client, and just to be clear here, no one is singular. There is no one in the world who's just yellow or just red. We usually tend to have two colors, okay, that match, and they are usually on the opposite to each other. So your yellow and blue are perfectly on the opposite, and red and green are also on the opposite. So that's kind of something that you find in the markets very often.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I use certain words, I use certain types of communication. Then how about the offer? Okay, so I guess you could start. I guess a lot of people start with an offer, or they have a product, and they look for a way of how to communicate about that product or that offer, right? In case of this podcast, we don't really have an offer yet, right? We have this podcast. So if I was to create an offer, right, for the right target audience, where would I start there? Because you said different colors or different types of people want different kind of offers as well, right?
So I think that the offer part or the transformation part is really similar, right? So people usually want to go from A to B, and it's more of a what, like we call it window shadow blind. So what do I put into the window so that they feel attracted by what is in the blind, right? And just to give you an example, right now I'm doing performance marketing for a recruiting agency, and what they do is they help physiotherapists recruit physiotherapists. Okay, and they have a report that basically outlines the strategy. And what we did is we changed the color, the cover. So we had 3 covers. One was get your next employee in 8 weeks. The second one is get to know the creative II method to get your next physiotherapist. And the third one was something like, I can't remember, something like with step by step kind of thing. So it's the same content, it's just a different cover. And what we see in the data is that two of them outperform the third one massively. So what we are going to do is we're going to print those two winners and send them out also via direct mail. And that's just an insight that you get from from doing that testing in the front end.
Fascinating. Okay, tell me about one of the biggest success stories applying this. You just gave me one example. What's another? What's like a big winner? Let's inspire our audience here. Maybe that's the right color code here.
Exactly. Inspire is the right color code. Yeah, absolutely. So what we did with one of the leading experts in the, let's say, freedom space here is it was a very singular funnel. Like all traffic was sent to one landing page and one VSL and that's it. And what we did is really kind of made it look almost like a spider with 8 different entry points, with 8 different landing page copies. So we really went into heavy multi-funnel testing, and the results were just massively better. I mean, it's like we're talking about 40 to 50% uplift in performance. Same offer, right? Same guy, just different angles, different messages based on that psychological colors that you use. And that was like a huge lever. It was not a bidding strategy. It wasn't a creative or an ad copy. It was, let's say, that whole path from A to become my client. We redesigned that specifically for the color schemes of the audience.
Interesting. Okay, so you mentioned a mind map before. So that's how you would usually do it. You mind map it out, right? And then if you use performance marketing, if you have ad budget, you would want to create different funnels, right? So just in case somebody doesn't know what a funnel is, it's basically a collection of different pages and touch points that you lead somebody through, like an online sales journey, basically, right? So you set up a couple of these funnels with different messaging, right? And this way you split test and you see what works. But in the past, I've only done this, I guess, a little bit too, well, not really looking at the psychology behind it, right? I've always been trying to understand like what resonates with my avatar. But I didn't really put those different avatars into buckets depending on color scheme or whatnot.
So I don't know many that actually go that deep, right? People you tend to look out for the next hack rather than understanding their clients in a really deep manner. And I'm not talking about that ideal client profile stuff, which is, or the avatar, which is so outdated. It's really like, who's sitting in front of me? What is the main driver, and what is the best result I could deliver? How, the dream outcome, and why is that the dream outcome for that client?
Fascinating. Yeah, I think one thing that a lot of marketers, but also entrepreneurs have is they're basically not interested enough in their actual audience, which is a pity, right? Why are you an entrepreneur in the first place? Well, maybe you want to drive that Lambo, maybe you want to have that accent. That's all fine and good, but probably you will never get there if you don't really care about your audience.
And I mean,
right? If you don't really care about solving those problems.
That's it. And I mean, look at the platforms, the ad platforms. What's happening there? Most of the platforms become AI driven, right? So you are getting limited already. You have performance max campaigns on Google. You have advantage plus campaigns, campaign budget optimization on Meta. So it all gets into, okay, I'm the platform, just give me assets and I will do the rest. Okay. So and what does that make? A media buyer, a technical media buyer will die, with these platforms being much more intelligent. So that's why if I were to choose who I want to be, I would not want to be a technical media buyer, but a smart media buyer.
That's very true. I mean, one thing that we see with AI and all of that taking over, right? And we don't have time to talk about the future in AI and what that means to humans. And obviously nobody actually knows. But one thing seems to be certain for me, that is, the more AI is coming into our world, the more important it is to actually connect to who you are as a human. And if you're an entrepreneur, this also means that you should connect to other humans and see what are their actual problems, right? And offer your perspective as a human being,
Yeah.
because that is something that machines probably won't learn for a while, at least, right? That might change as well. But for now, a deeper understanding of who's actually sitting in front of you and how can you help to make this person's life better. That's still something very human and
100%.
very much missing in marketing. So I love the color concept here, and yeah, let's use this. I want to dive into this. I'll definitely get the Idiot's
Fantastic.
book. What was the proper title of it again?
Surrounded by idiots. So the
Surrounded
funny
by
thing is,
Idiots.
side story. I used to, I received that book. I put it on the kitchen table, and then my wife came back from work and she saw that book, and it was like, it wasn't meant for you. It
Yeah,
wasn't meant for
well,
you.
perfect. Well, we're already out of time, man. That one passed quickly. Thank you very much for this introduction, at least, to a different way of looking at your customers and the messages that you should put out there as an entrepreneur if you really want to connect with your audience and this way be heard, right, in this jungle out there. Thank you so much, Mark. It was a pleasure having you on.
Thanks for having me.
And everybody who enjoyed the show, please follow my profiles. We're back with another show tomorrow. This is Entrepreneur's Life, our daily show. And well, this was the one with Marc Roth about psychology and marketing. Again, thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much.
Have a good one.
Have a good one.